For those of you listening on the pod.
And welcome into hour two. We're going to dive into a Patreon question here in a second. I'm going to try to send this image over to you, Tim, on Twitter, and I'll pull it up. You don't have to do anything. I want to pull up the board here. As Deadfish had asked, I hope you got a picture of that board. And listen,
this, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, this isn't like trying to prove or disprove Goody. You're missing the point if you think this is about, he got that one wrong. It's what we're wanting to do here is just kind of see how the board is built. All right. And we'll be real quick with this because we got a bunch of other content to get to, but I'm going to try to pull it up. It may be hard to zoom in. I'm hoping we can make this happen, but let's see what we got here real quick, Tim. All right. So, and again, it's going to be a bad glare. Here was the board they had set up on the wall. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to try to zoom in here. If it'll let me, will it? It will not. Daggum it. It's going to be difficult.
See, I got it good on the phone. I just got your
right. You can zoom way in.
I can see my boy JJ Inigbari there at tier 4.
Yeah,
right on time.
That was the first draft that me and Ryan did together too, and I remember having him as the best prospect available when we took him for a couple of rounds. But in this top tier up here, guys, I know it's hard to see, but up here, obviously, that's first round talent, second round talent, third round talent, fourth round talent, all the way down the board, right? First round talent, he had Thibodeau with an 8.51 grade, okay? Second, he had Aiden Hutchinson with an 8.50. Third, he had Sauce Gardner with an 8.47 is where that's at. And then you got Neal, I think that was Evan Neal, 8.28 right here. Trayvon Walker, an 8.00. Derek Stingley Jr., a 7.80. So you see these guys their scores range from 8.51 all the way down to 7.03 for a first-round talent. So these guys are in the same tier. So if you get that grade, the closer those grades are together, right, then the closer they are together, then you got your cluster buster, all right? Why would we want to take this player over this player even though he's got a slightly better grade? But I wanted to mention, and I'm going to try to show you guys where they're at here, okay? On the board right here in this range in the first round, and again, I know you can't see it, but I'm just going to explain it for you. This is, right here is Quay Walker, a 7.27 grade, okay? And then right next to him, one row down.
Wyatt, baby.
Devontae Wyatt, a 7.21. And then right up here is Christian Watson at a 7.16. So they had a first-round grade on Christian Watson. Thought that was really, really interesting. So, again, I won't bore y'all too much with that, but I just want to show them what we were talking about. Maybe I can crop it, zoom in, and give you guys a little bit better idea of the way it kind of shaped out there. And again, some of the players we just named, I know some of those are busts, right? But that's the reality of it, man. Like, every GM misses, Yep. You trust your scouting department, you grade them out, and you try to trust the board. And the goal is get as many people toward the top of your board as you possibly can. That may require you trading back and gathering a few picks. It may be you trading up because there's only one guy left in that tier. So There you go.
I thought a lot of people were like, "Oh, why do we take Quay Walker in the first?" And it's like, well, if you look at this mock, this mock-up of the draft board, well, Drake London was off the board. Chris Olave was off the board already. We had first-round grades on Quay, Devontae Wyatt, right? Mm-hmm. Scoot, we had a first-round grade on. So ultimately, you make the choice that you make based on how the board's falling. You do all the research you want. Draft day, once you're on the clock, we all know, all bets are off. It's right. About how the draft is going to unfold. So
definitely. All right. So the big news of the day was, and no surprise here, we kind of talked about this. We talked for several months now that we thought Devontae Wyatt would get the fifth-year option and Quay Walker would not. Simply because Quay Walker, being a linebacker, that's grouped in with 34 outside linebackers. So the 34 outside linebackers is going to boost that fifth-year option cap number up, that guaranteed cap number way up, as opposed to just a stack backer. So it just doesn't make sense to hit Quay Walker with the fifth-year option. Let's kind of go into it here. So the Green Bay Packers have opted not to exercise the fifth-year option on linebacker Quay Walker's rookie contract, a decision that would have guaranteed the 2022 first-round pick, number 22 overall, $14.75 million for the 26th season. Despite this move, people hear that, Tim, they go, okay, they're not re-signing him. General Manager Brian Gutekunst emphasized that Walker remains integral
Yep.
to the team's long-term plans. All right,
Yep.
integral to the team's long-term plans, expressing interest in negotiating a contract extension to keep the linebacker beyond 2025. Listen, that doesn't mean he's going to break the bank. That doesn't mean he's going to pay him top linebacker dollar. I think they're higher on Quay than I am personally, but I think that they're still going to be looking to get a fair deal for Quay Walker. I don't think they see Quay as like a top 3 linebacker in the league, Tim, or a top 5 linebacker.
No.
But they do see him as starting quality, whether we agree with it or not. You know?
Oh yeah, I would anticipate like a 3 to 4 year kind of deal getting done or something.
Yeah,
or if it's really 3 or 3 that's really 2.
Right. Probably I could see a 3-year that's really 2 with a little bit less guaranteed, but the overall number looks fairly decent.
Yep.
And that way they can get out of it if he does not improve. Right. But here's just kind of some of the numbers on it. Walker, who has started 43 games and recorded over 100 tackles in each of his 3 seasons, has been a consistent presence, but not fully lived up to the expectations of a top-tier performer. His 2024 season was overshadowed by rookie linebacker Edgerrin Cooper, who outperformed him, raising questions about Walker's value relative to the high cost of his potential 5th-year option. So I wanted to just kind of compare stack backers across the league here, Tim. Again, when you talk about Quay Walker potentially getting a $14.75 5th-year option, right? $14.75 million 5th-year option, that means he would have been the 6th highest paid linebacker in the entire league. He hasn't performed at that level, in my opinion. And I think that's why they're passing on that. Yeah. Roquan Smith right now is averaging $20 million per year. Again, that might not be the cap hit, the guaranteed money. He may never see nothing near that. But the overall contract, average annual value, that's the numbers we're breaking down, because that's the best thing that you can compare to a 5th-year option. It's like, okay, that's your cap hit for that year, whether you want to kick it down the road or, what have you. That's what you're on the hook for that 1 year for. Roquan Smith, $20 million. Fred Warner, $19 million. Tremaine Edmonds, $18 million. Zach Bond, $17 million.
Ooh, Zach Bond cashing in on that Super Bowl money. Wow.
Big time. Jamie Sherwood, $15 million. Nick Bolton, $15 million. And then Patrick Queen, $13.6 million. Terrell Bernard, $10.5 million. Dre Greenlaw, $10.5 million. Ernest Jones, $9.5 million. And Bobby Wagner, $9 million. So you could see why they wouldn't pick up that 5th-year option. You know what I mean? Like I don't see him as the 6th best linebacker in the league, stack back.
No.
As a matter of fact, we're just going off of the average annual value. I would put Edgerrin Cooper definitely top 10, maybe top 5 linebackers with the way he played last year. That's how damn good he was. I don't think people realize it. Like, and he could take a step back. Sophomore slumps are real. That happens every season in the NFL. Yep. Not necessarily every sophomore, but you know what I mean? Every year we're talking about this guy took a step back. So I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a slight step back. But he showed me last year that dude can be a top 3, top 5 stack backer in the league, man.
Absolutely. And I think the fact that, Coop did miss a lot of action early on in his rookie year and then really kind of caught his stride, that middle point of the season, on through the end, that may help him not have that year 2 slump, right? He may be ready to go pick up where he left off and just keep building from there. And I do think the talent that we have, in the linebacker room, again, we talked about, receivers picking each other up with competition, or our corners, iron sharpens iron. Look at our linebackers, man. You got Quay, you got Zay McDuffie in there. Edge Cooper is clearly, the front runner in that linebacker room. But, the sky is the limit, man. These guys are going to pick each other up, man, for sure this year.
Yeah. And then when you look at the PFF grades here, look, it's not being kind to Quay. And again, I'm not saying it's everything. When I watch the tape with Quay, I see him hesitating. That's his only thing. He's got the physical tools. He can cover vertically as good as any Mike linebacker in the entire league, in my opinion. But he's just so hesitant underneath. If they could coach that out of him, he could be a dominant backer. But that's a very, very important part of playing stack backer in any defense, whether it's a 34 jam front or a 4-3, and you're, just kind of playing a little softer there with a one gap approach. But the decision reflects a broader NFL trend as teams have increasingly declined fifth-year options of off-ball linebackers due to the inflated costs driven by edge rusher salaries. No team has picked up such an option since 2022. Instead, the Packers may pursue a more cost-effective extension for Walker, mirroring their successful approach with quarterback Jordan Love. So his PFF grade 62. In 2022, it was I think it was a 62. Or was that a 52? It's kind of hard to see there. I think it was a 62, I believe. And then it dropped to a 58.5, and then last year it dropped to a 57.4. So according to PFF, he's gotten worse every year. Okay. As we come on down here and kind of look at the weekly grades, his best game came against San Francisco. That's the game where we said it seemed to click, right?
Yeah.
And then of course he follows up with a 68.5, not horrible, 62.2. Yeah. But then that game with only 22 snaps there at Seattle's where he hurt his ankle, right? And he only had 22 snaps, had a 44.2. So you see his ceiling was 91.4 and his floor was 35.9. And that was week 3 against Tennessee. So just kind of all over the joint there. And again, there they are. So it was a 52. He jumped to a 60 and then fell back to a 57.5 is how his grades went. And just pointed out some other NFL pro stats there you guys can check out in the article as well. Said, in contrast, the Packers exercised the fifth-year option for defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt, another 2022 first-round pick, securing his services for 2026 at $12.9 million. As the team balances its roster and salary cap, Walker's future with Green Bay will hinge on negotiations for a deal that aligns with his performance and the team's financial strategy. So that's kind of where we've got Quay Walker right now. Any thoughts before we move on, Tim, about Quay? What's the number you would put on him? I'm going to put you on the spot here. There's not a right or wrong answer. I just want to kind of fill you out here. What number, average annual value, do you think that's the most I would give for Quay? You know what I'm saying? Like we
Definitely
just showed
under 10.
Under 10?
Yeah, somewhere in that 8 to 10 range, I guess. But
yeah. For me, if you want to try to work out a 1-year deal to kind of a prove it deal, like, hey, let's try this one more year, you kind of already got that this year too. If they work out an extension and they go in there and go, okay, let's see what we can get on the same page. I think I'm with you. Somewhere between 6 to 9 million will be that range where, like, okay, when you get to 10, that's where I get like, I don't know. Guys.
Right. You start scratching your head a little bit. Yeah.
It just, to me, 10 seems like the most I would go. Looks like the chat. Let's see here. Jonathan says 8.8. That's pretty specific. I like it. If that's what he was referring to.
I like that too, right? 8.8 plus incentives, right?
And that's the other thing, right? Give them something that's closer to that 6 to 7 that I'm talking about. But hey, you can earn 15 million if you go out there and just ball out. You know,
absolutely,
no problem with that. Drew D says 13 million is the max, is what he would give. He thinks. J. Cole says 10 million. Greg Rice says, give him the damn checkbook. It ain't my money.
I mean, it's true, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, we don't care. We don't care what these guys are getting paid specifically, right? We're just looking at it in terms of, the team, right? Cap hit and, things like that, stretching out into the future. But yeah, I mean, they're all playing football for a living. Isn't it great? Life's a beautiful thing, man. Make more money than a lot of people do in their lifetime in, a year or two, just playing this game that we all love. So, we don't want to get too far into the weeds, but I think we're all pretty much in agreement. Like Deadfish here, 3 years, 24. That's right around there, right?
Yeah.
3 times 8 is 24. Okay.
Yeah, because really what that would be, Tim, if it's 3 year, 24 million, it's really going to be a 2 year, 18 million, something like that. Right. So, yeah.
And that's a win-win. That's a win-win for us as, fans and for the Packers. And it's a win for Quay because Quay gets a little bit of the bag, gets to prove himself, has some stability. If it doesn't work out or he falls off a cliff, well, whatever. We're not committed for the long haul, right?
And the other thing you got to take into consideration, it sounds silly, but it's so true, is one of his best friends on the team, Devontae Wyatt. They played at Georgia together. He's going to be around for another year. It's another for Quay to be like, man, I think I just want to stay here, as opposed to let me test him. He goes to
Nas Stackhouse coming up here too, right?
Exactly. So, they played together. Did they? I don't know if they did.
I think so. I think it would have been that would have been Stackhouse's freshman or sophomore year.
You're probably right.
Last year, yeah.
If there was no transfer involved, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bullard did. There you go, Drew. That's another pull. He had to have, right?
Javon Bullard. Yep.
Javon Bullard had to have played with him. And Brinson, he said, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and now you got
Georgia boys. Watch out for them Georgia boys. They just got to change the color of the G. That's it.
And now you see Goody tapping into Texas a little bit, right? With Matthew Golden and Baron Sorrell. That stuff matters, man.
It does.
Like we like to look at it just as who's the best player, right? Who are the best players? Like there are these, like we're playing Madden. Who's got the better overall? That's the guy. But these are real human beings, man. And
it's a real thing, man.
Yeah,
remember being a kid going to baseball practice, and you're trying out for baseball, and it's like, oh, there's a couple guys from my school that are at the same tryout. It gives you some comfortability being the new guy and not being alone. There's some real validity to that, I think, for sure, especially at the professional level.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so there's your update on Quay Walker's fifth-year option situation. I want to hit this question here from Deadfish. It's a long-winded question, but man, it was well thought out. And this is in our Patreon group. Again, if you want to ask questions for the show, you can always utilize the super chat. That'll get pushed to the front. But also, if you go into our Patreon group, we have a section where you can ask questions for the show. So here's what Deadfish said. This year's draft seems to be mostly a salary cap relief draft for the Packers drafting well in 2022. He said the Packers had a great draft in 22 as they still have 7 starters plus Kingsley Enagbare, who plays a lot as a rotational pass rusher. Right now, this is the contract year for most of them. And I've been wondering how the Packers are going to sign them all. From the picks we took in the 2025 draft, I'm thinking the Packers are not planning on signing too many. Wide receivers Matthew Golden and Savion Williams, look to be in a position to replace Watson and Dobbs. Offensive tackle Belton is going to push Rasheed Walker at left tackle, while last year's number 1 pick, Jordan Morgan, will push right guard Sean Ryan. Baron Sorrell looks to be the replacement for Kingsley Enagbare. Deadfish, sir. I paused for dramatic effect. This is so well put together. Am I wrong, Tim? This is
great.
It's a blueprint. It really is. Now, not to say that they won't re-sign a couple of these guys, and I don't think Deadfish is saying that, but you put yourself in a position where you don't have to, especially if these guys ball out. You may improve your roster, not have to extend a guy, which is going to cost more money, and these rookie deals is really how you can build the nucleus of a strong football team. The only thing that I would push back on, Deadfish, is if you go that route, your team gets younger, right? And although I want a young team, don't get me wrong, I'm always going to point out until it happens, the youngest team in the league has never won the Super Bowl, right? So at some point we got to, and I'm not saying the guys you mentioned letting go are the ones we need to keep. I'm just simply saying, if you let them walk, then you go sign a free agent that's of higher caliber play. And now you did kind of increase the age of the team a little bit, the veteran presence of the team that's going to help a little bit there too. And who knows, it might be players that become available that played with these guys in college that you continue that tradition of building that camaraderie from a similar program, So
I agree.
Next, he says defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt recently got the 5th-year option, so we could kick that can down the road for another year. And I personally believe they're going to sign an extension. I honestly, I would not be surprised if the 5th-year option doesn't even come into play. If it's just, hey, we agreed to that, we got it in place, now let's sign him to an extension, and that just kind of voids out the – I mean, you can use it as the nucleus of the new deal. It's still there because it's fully guaranteed, but it's a part of the guaranteed money of the new deal, if that makes sense. So,
right.
Yeah, says, I'm not sure we'll do the same with Quay Walker. The Packers drafted Tyron Hopper last year, Colin Oliver this year, and we just signed Isaiah Simmons as a free agent. That's a lot of compensation for Walker. That's a very good point. That leaves right tackle Zach Tom, who most certainly will be signed to a big contract. I think he's going to get the bank, man. I'm telling you, Tim. Zach Tom is going to get paid good money. It's going to be money well spent, dude.
I agree, because it looks like they're not paying Sheed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's more money there for Zach Tom.
Definitely. So he goes on to say, let me just make a note here real quick. He goes on to say, so if we're going to lose these 6 players in free agency next year, what kind of compensatory picks can we expect for each? This year, it looks like Pittsburgh had the most comp picks with 4. So it might be better if we traded a couple this year. Trading some this year would probably get you a pick 1 round higher than what you would get as a comp pick, as teams would be getting these players with 1 year left on the rookie contract. I don't think it's quite that easy, Deadfish. I hope I'm wrong if they do decide to part ways and pick up compensation. But it just seems like more often than not, we find ourselves going, well, at least you got something for them, as opposed to, you got 1 round better than maybe what the comp pick would have been. But Quay Walker, Christian Watson, Sean Ryan, Romeo Dobbs, Kingsley Nabar, and Rasheed Walker are the players he's mentioning. Here's what teams got in this year's draft for reference, just talking about the comp picks. Team round 2025 compensated departure. So Minnesota got a 3rd rounder for Sam Darnold. Pittsburgh got a 3rd rounder for Dan Moore Jr. Philly got a 3rd rounder for Milton Williams. Detroit got a 3rd rounder for Aaron Glenn. Pittsburgh, San Francisco, and Las Vegas, along with Philly, San Francisco again, New Orleans, New York Jets all got 4th rounders for a flurry of players. So here's a good example. The Aaron Banks deal, right? We signed Aaron Banks as a free agent because of the amount of money we paid him and the lack of replacement that San Francisco may or may not have gotten in free agency, landed them a 4th round pick. So they essentially traded Aaron Banks for a 4th round pick is what they did. And that's where, when you're willing to let guys walk, and it's what Deadfish is talking about in this entire article, is that's how you kind of make it worth it. Like Romeo Dobbs, Tim, I wouldn't be surprised if Romeo Dobbs goes out this year and has a year like he has had in the past with no red flag issues and the concussions are not an issue.
I just caught the ball.
Every time you play, I'm going, what's going on? I'm like, what happened? It makes me laugh every time. I could see that being somewhere in the range of a 4th to a 5th round comp pick, man. It could.
Yeah. I agree.
So yeah, great question, great comment there, Deadfish. Way to look out. I think you need to be our compensatory pick guy. When we get to that point at each part of the year, we're gonna go, Deadfish, what are we thinking compensatory pick wise? Like what are we looking at here? Because that's something I haven't studied much at all. So.
Deadfish GPT right here for
there
sure.
You go. Absolutely. So we appreciate that information, buddy. You are awesome. Let's see. We're not going to get into Baron Sorrell tonight. I want to hit on something. This is kind of a touchy subject here. This Josh Jacobs interview that he did with the Pivot podcast. Yeah. I want to play the audio from this.
Is this talking about Ruggs?
Yeah, talking about it's Henry Ruggs, right?
Yep, Henry Ruggs. Yep.
So I want to say this before we talk about it. In no way, shape, or form am I trying to downplay or minimize the fact that a young lady lost her life in a horrible way from a horrible accident where Henry Ruggs was 100% responsible. Okay. Please don't take this the wrong way. But I want to point out the type of person that Josh Jacobs is. He played for the Raiders when that happened. And a lot of people don't know this, as he'll mention in this interview. He was supposed to go out with Ruggs that night. And people hear that and they go, what's he – immediately some folks go, why is he hanging around with people like that? Like Henry Ruggs is this horrible person, right? When I first heard it, I thought the same thing. Like, man, get this ass hat right here. Like, how stupid are you? Like, I was really, really bad about it, really hard on it, The reality is street racing like that, reckless driving, which is essentially what he was doing. How many times have you seen people texting and driving?
Yep.
And this is going to get a little heavy, but I'm just going to – this is my opinion.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir. Texting and driving, drinking while driving, smoking the devil's lettuce while driving, whatever.
If you look down at your phone and you're sending a text and you hit somebody and kill them, right? You're going to prison the same way that Henry Ruggs did.
Yep. People
make stupid decisions, and it costs people their lives, right?
Negligence. It's negligence.
It's exactly what it is.
You didn't wake up and decide to go take someone's life, but your negligence caused somebody to lose their life, and that's what we're looking at here, right?
But you got to pay the piper, man. When you do something stupid like that, you got to pay the piper. So we're going to play this clip from the Turn podcast. And the thing immediately.
Look at that screen grab right there. Oh,
yeah,
beautiful.
He's a dog. So the reason I wanted to play this, and this is what I put in the tweet. I said, Packers running back Josh Jacobs is such a real dude. You can just tell he's that friend who's going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. I love that he went to Ruggs's click. Like, what the F are y'all doing?
Yep.
Because people said, well, why does he hang out with people like that? That's not the point of this whole thing. The point is, if he had been out with Ruggs, it would not have
This
happened.
wouldn't have happened. Yep.
He wouldn't have let it happen.
And the whole reason he was probably making that effort was because he wanted to be a positive example, and
Right.
maybe saw the guys that he was surrounding himself with and wanted to be a positive influence in his life. And, you know, regardless of what happened, he's still going to do that, right? Like you said, it's a testament to who Josh Jacobs is. And if you don't know Josh Jacobs' backstory, please do your research, because that guy comes from very humble beginnings and understands what it's like to struggle and have to, you know, claw tooth and nail to get to where you're at, and just how easily you can lose it all too. So I think that's why he was trying to just be not only a good teammate, but just a good man, a good person,
right,
and be there for somebody. Yep.
And it goes hand in hand with like the Kyron Lacy situation. You know, if you guys haven't heard, you know, Kyron Lacy, you know, that tragedy that happened a few weeks ago, right before the draft. People are, Kyron Lacy's a thug. He's this, he's that. You know, listen, he did not make good decisions. There's no two ways about it. But when you hear Brian Kelly, who I'm not a big fan of Brian Kelly, LSU's head coach, you guys know, Notre Dame fan, just the way he operated at Notre Dame. I'm not a big fan of Brian Kelly, but he pointed out before this tragedy even happened that Kyron Lacy's a kid that had a rough upbringing. He can't control his emotions, and he didn't want to turn his back on him. He wanted to try to help him. He wanted to try to help him through life. I remember Nick Saban talking about a player at Bama, and people were like so quick to, he's a thug. He made a stupid decision. Get him out of here. Kick him off. Why didn't you kick him off the team? And Nick Saban's like, listen, if we kick him off the team, he goes back to the hood where he grew up, and his life doesn't get any better. Yep. And Saban made the point of like, I'm supposed to be in his life to help him, and I'm going to turn my back on him like that. So again, I think that's the area, that's the place that Josh Jacobs is coming from with this comment. And I came out with nothing but respect for him. But I'm going to play it here real quick. Again, this is on the Pivot podcast. And I'm not a big fan of Ryan Clark. I'm not. But I thought this was a really good conversation, and kudos to them. Definitely want to give credit. This was on his Twitter account that he posted this video. That's where we're pulling it from. But here's the audio of him talking to Josh Jacobs, about 2.5 minutes long. I think it's worth the listen.
It made me think about Henry Ruggs. You know, an Alabama guy. I saw somewhere that he could be getting out within a year. I mean, you were there in Las Vegas. How difficult was that to deal with as a teammate and a friend, to see someone have to go through what Henry was going through, which was in many ways self-inflicted?
You see, I got goosebumps, bro. You brought that up. I still talk to Henry. So Henry still called me. We still, like, you know, I'm still help him out and all of them type of things. His wife and his daughter, like all of that. Like we still connected. I know his whole family. You know, he's from Alabama. He played with me at Bama. His mama and them taught me how to bowl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's real love on a deeper level when it come to Ruggs. And the sad part about it was we talked about going out that night. It wasn't nowhere crazy. We went to Topgolf. You feel me? Like he literally told me, he was like, man, you coming? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go. It got late. I'm like, man, I'm not gonna step. And then I'm getting woken up to my lawyers calling me, like, tell Ruggs we got him. We gonna represent him. I'm like, what you talking about? And then I'll go on social media and I'm like, whoa. So the first thing that happened to me, I'm like, bro, it ain't no way. So I instantly get mad. And then when I start finding out more about the story and like how, you know, they were supposedly racing, I'm like, who was he with? But he was with his family. So I went to his house. I had some words with some people over there. And I'm just like, man, like, y'all gotta understand, bro. Like, he the breadwinner of the family. He the one changing all of y'all life, everybody. You know what I'm saying? And then not only that, he's a good kid. He's never been in trouble. I've never seen him do nothing crazy. Like, he was just one of them guys that had a very, very unfortunate situation and something happened, a decision that he made. You know, and that's what hurt me the most, because I'm like, man, he ain't somebody that you would look at and be like, bro, you deserve this to happen to you. You know, like, I'm like, man, like, so for me, it hurt a lot, but keeping up with him, man, and hearing him talk, it brings me spirits because he always positive. He's positive about everything, man. Like he's training. They let him train and things like that. So I'm like, you come out, man. I don't know if you will get a chance. I've been talking to some people for him. Like they've been saying that a couple of teams is willing to give him a chance. I'm like, when you get that chance, man, you better not ever. Don't look back. Don't look back and prove to yourself and prove to everybody that one decision don't define you and who you are as a man. And that was my biggest thing for real when it came to Ruggs.
So the people that I wanted to mention it because the people that are like coming at Josh Jacobs for having his buddies back, the easy thing to do in that situation is separate yourself.
Away. Yep, walk away. Look at all of Diddy's friends right now, right?
I don't know you. I don't got nothing to do with you, right? To me, that's being a coward.
Yep, that's the easy road.
Yeah. The fact that he's making sure that his wife and his kids taken care of and like they said, again, I don't know Ruggs. He may be a horrible person. I'm just basing this simply off of what Josh Jacobs is saying about the dude. I know this. What he did was horrible.
Yep.
And again, it sound when you hear the end result, you think, what a horrible person. But that could happen to anybody. Anybody who's ever sped in a car, anybody who's ever gotten into a car with, more than a couple drinks in you. And I know the holy rollers are out there going, I've never done that. There's plenty of people that it could have happened to. And you could have taken somebody's daughter's life, somebody's son's life, could have, harmed somebody in your family that's in the car with you. Like we talked about the texting and driving, I'm as guilty as anyone. Man, you kidding me? If I'm going down the road and it's a 3-mile stretch of straight road, ain't nothing for me to try to want to pick up my phone and send a text. But the reality is, if you hit somebody there, your ass is going to prison. Yep. That's the law, right? So I got a lot more respect for Josh Jacobs because it would have been the easy. My mind immediately, Tim, went to, like I said, Coach Nick Saban talking about that player, like, what am I supposed to do? Turn my back on this kid after I sat in his living room and told his family, I'm going to take care of your son and I'm going to help him become a man while he's in college. And now when you get a little bit of adversity, you're just going to turn your back on him. So it's just such a tough situation because if it had been my wife or my daughter, and I don't have kids, Lord didn't bless us with kids, I can only imagine the rage that would go through me if someone took, someone like that I care about's life. But I got a lot of respect for Josh Jacobs. And I wanted to play that because I'm just so damn proud that he's a Green Bay Packer, man. For however long he's in Green Bay, what a blessing he is to his team. He's a leader, and he's just someone who's going to have his teammates' backs and try to do the right thing. And like you said, man, humble beginnings. Yep. I think they lived out of a car for a little bit, didn't they? They were homeless for a couple
cars, hotels, sleeping on the floor, just him and his siblings and his father. Look up Josh Jacobs' backstory. I mean, that's a guy who's been there and understands, what coming from next to nothing and making it to the upper echelons of, fame and fortune and, being one of the top. I mean, let's be real. He's top 5 running back in the National Football League, arguably, when it's all said and done. And that's probably why he has the character that he has. It's ingrained in who he is and, how he came up. And I think he probably sees himself in a lot of these younger players and wants to be, like I said, it's beyond being just a good teammate and a good example. It's just being a good human being, Unfortunately, good people make bad choices all the time, man. You can make a mistake, do something stupid. And, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you made a bad choice. And I think I have a lot of respect for Josh Jacobs just for, having Ruggs' back, you talk about Henry Ruggs, he's 26 or something like that.
Crazy.
So, he's got a couple years of, time he's got to serve. He's going to be up for parole, I believe, as early as next year. So, why throw his life away too? And that's why I like what Josh Jacobs said. He's like, hey, if you get another shot, we're going to bat for you. Stay in shape, do what you can to get back. You could be 27, 28 and still play in the NFL maybe and, finish your career out. But you can't look back and you can't screw up that second chance if you're lucky enough to get one, and, without people like that in your life, sometimes guys, they make one mistake and it's over with because nobody goes to bat and nobody is there for them. So it speaks to Josh Jacobs' character for sure.
Yeah. And Chris Henn's, talking about in the chat how he's had a couple different incidents that kind of changed the course of his life, and luckily he didn't hurt anybody. And I'm sure you think back on it all the time, don't you, Chris? Like, God, it could have been so much worse. I lost my brother this past year. You guys have heard me talk about that last June, and he was someone who, I'm telling you, man, if it hadn't been for him, whew, he gave me a place to go when I was into stuff that I should not have been into. Honestly, I buried way too many friends, overdoses and everything else. And if it hadn't been for my brother going, hey, as soon as you graduate high school, if you want to get out of that town and come down here and live with me, I'll get you a job and get you on your feet.
Yep.
That's why, we were always so close. He prevented that type of stuff, me slipping into things. And even with that, even with the best guidance like that, Tim, still made stupid ass decisions all the time. Like as a 20, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old, it was just constantly him going, hey, knucklehead, what are you doing? Why are you out till 4 a.m.? Stuff like that.
Yep.
He knew what I was doing. But as my mom, as Mama Betty always said, if it ain't happened by 11 o'clock, it ain't going to happen. Get on home. All right. That's what she always, best advice I've ever got. Yep. J. Cole says the self-righteous stuff is ridiculous today. It's on Ruggs and Lacey to ask the Most High for forgiveness. You're right, Clayton. Touchy subject. Yeah. And that's at the end of the day, that's what matters. And again, going to the young lady's family too, and doing the right thing there. Like, hey, I know I can't bring her back, but is whatever I can do to, let you know how sorry I am. And that I would kind of hope that a situation would end like that with the family giving those stories choke me up when someone does something absolute. Like I've heard of the stories of people, in a murder case and the family standing on trial and saying, I forgive you. That stuff is just like, man.
That's only God speaking through you can bring you that kind of forgiveness and that kind of strength, man, for sure.
Yeah. Braden in the chat says, hope Jacobs takes Golden under his wing. Similar upbringings, real dudes. I'll tell you another one too, Braden. Look at that. There you go. I love it. Another guy in that locker room that many people don't want to acknowledge that I think he emerged as the leader of the wide receiver room is Christian Watson. The way he handled the Romeo Doubs situation, I'm in the camp. I want Christian Watson back. I want him to prove he's healthy in November and sign him to an extension. That's what I want. I want Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Christian Watson, and Savion Williams on the field with Tucker Kraft at all times. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. And you got Josh Jacobs as well into that mix. But Christian Watson handled that perfect. He didn't defend Romeo. He was like, Romeo knows he screwed up, and I got his back, and we're friends. But, like, he handled it like a leader. So you get Matthew Golden in that room with Christian Watson and Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is, like, toward the top now. I consider Josh Jacobs more of the team leader than Jordan Love, me personally. And that's not a knock on Jordan. Jordan's a great leader, I think. But Josh Jacobs is that dude in that locker room like, hey, you guys can lean on me. And I just love that clip. I thought that was phenomenal by him. So, anyway, that's it. We're over on time. I wanted to touch that, and again, there you go. The Golden Child.
The Golden Child. Remember that movie?
I do remember that now. I love it. So, I just wanted to hit that a little bit because it's obviously that's more than football, but just to kind of increase the level of appreciation for Josh Jacobs and the guy that's on the team.
Yep.
I think it's pretty cool. And it goes hand in hand. I was reading the comments and we couldn't hit them all, but there was people in there going like, this is Goody and LaFleur. They're building this team. We always talk about we're not collecting talent. We're building a team. They're building this nucleus of guys that want to be here and are hungry and they want to work for each other. And that's why when you have incidents like Romeo Doubs or maybe even a Jair Alexander, sometimes that stuff sticks out like a sore thumb. And it doesn't mean they can't change and get on board, right? But train's leaving the station, man. This is a team, and you either get on board with what we're doing as a team collectively or let's move along. And again, that's why when Romeo Doubs came back from the suspension, to see everybody gravitate toward him was really cool. You could tell there was forgiveness on the team if there was any wrongdoing. And I don't think we'll ever know the true story, Tim. I don't, nor should we. That was left in the locker room where it needed to be. He served his 1-game suspension and got back on the team. I personally don't think he's going to be a part of the long-term future of the Packers, me personally. I could be wrong, though.
Yeah. But like you said, though, it's important to, if the team's going to, make the decision to move on, right? They addressed it. They dealt with it in-house, right? Family business stays in-house. We don't air our dirty laundry in front of everyone. So we may not know the specifics, but we do know that it's behind them, right? And we're moving forward. But, that being said, I'm probably in your camp there, Clay. I think, all bets are down. If it's either Rome or Scoot, it's probably going to be Scoot. And Rome will probably play ball somewhere else,
It'll probably be a 1-year extension too, kind of a prove-it extension for Christian Watson.
Right. Coming off
injury. Yeah. Give him a little bit of extra guaranteed money in a 1-year prove-it deal. Like that'll make it more appealing than trying to hit free agency and prove, hey, I'm healthy. Because he's only going to get a couple of months unless we go on a Super Bowl run, to prove that he is healthy. If you get that 1-year bridge and he's healthy, then give him the extension and you're good. Your wide receiver room is good for years to come, Yep. But with Romeo, it's just kind of, again, just reading the tea leaves and going off the snap count and in terms of deployment in the wide receiver room last year, they were trying to work Dontavion Wicks into that X position.
Oh, yeah.
So kind of feels like the writing's on the wall there. But again, you never know, though.
I just caught the ball.
He may go out, ball out this year and get an extension. I'd be okay with that too. So,
yep.
All right. That's it, guys. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Tomorrow, we will get to some of the other topics. We may do the Savion Williams Chalk Talk tomorrow. We're going to do it tonight, but I tried to steer the show in the direction that the chat was going, all that good stuff. So we will we'll try to hit some more. We're going to get into Baron Sorrell too. I'd like to do a Chalk Talk on him soon. We got his draft spotlight ready to go as well. And something that Dane Brugler said that was really, really cool. I wanted to play for you guys and gals. So we'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live. To the best of my knowledge, if something changes, I'll let y'all know. But we will plan on doing another show tomorrow night. And who knows, we might do one Saturday morning too. We'll see how it goes. I've been needing to sleep in here lately, Tim. But, of course, I can do a 9:30 show and sleep in,
There you go. I'm with it. I'll get up. I'll be ready to go.
All right. Greg Rice hits a nail on the head here. He says, the chat is a rudderless ship. Yes, it is. All right, everybody have a great night. Again, check out the Patreon group. It's the best way to support the show. $3 get you everything on the site, and it's just, like I said, a way for us to give back to you guys who are giving to the show and give you some extra content that's exclusive there in the Patreon group. Chuck Jagger says we need comp picks for AFAM. You know what? This would be one of those deals where you take teams take cap space off your hands, Tim. You know what I mean? I would give somebody a second-round pick to take AFAM off our hands. That's what I would say. So I just don't have
don't give it to Kansas City.
Exactly. All right. Appreciate everybody. Hit that like button on the way out. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a wonderful evening. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go, Pack, go.
And we go.
We're out. Bye, guys.